Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. This is your daily news report and fourth stimulus check update. House Democrats are divided over how to enact President Biden's massive infrastructure bill. President Biden is also now urging some states to extend unemployment. Sweeping infrastructure agenda are coming to a head as lawmakers return to Washington this week for a key budget vote. The House was on track to vote as early as this Monday night on a budget resolution for the president's spending package after the Senate approved a $3.5 trillion measure earlier this month. But Democratic divisions continue to jeopardize its passage in the House as negotiators search for a deal late into the night. Democrats are putting forward a vote that would pass the budget resolution tonight using a special procedural move, but it's still unclear if it will succeed. Leadership is pressing ahead with a procedural vote that, if passed, would bypass debate and a separate vote on the budget resolution, even though they have received no assurances from moderate Democrats that they said would support the move. The ultimate goal is for Democrats to be able to craft a sweeping legislative package to expand the social safety net under a budget known as reconciliation, which would not be subject to the Senate's filibuster 60-vote threshold. But to do so, both chambers need to adopt the budget resolution. And there is a group of 9 moderate House Democrats that are holding that up, pushing to first pass a separate $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, which the Senate has already passed, before voting on the budget resolution. Their request runs counter to leadership's plan for advancing the 2 agenda items.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to you and Ranking Member and the members of the Rules Committee. H.R. 4 is just another attempt to exert federal control over states and localities. It's a partisan power grab. In 1965, Congress passed the Voting Rights Act to overcome pervasive state resistance and barriers that prevented minorities from exercising their right to vote. In 2013, the Supreme Court in Shelby County versus Holder held that continuing to require states to, quote, pre-clear law changes based upon conduct from decades ago was an unconstitutional invasion of state sovereignty. The court recognized that, quote, the conditions that originally justified these measures no longer characterize voting in the covered jurisdiction. And that's a good thing. It means we've made progress. I mean, we should frankly be celebrating the amazing changes from what was happening, the wrong things that were happening in the 60s compared to where we are today with our voting laws. The court also found that if Congress drafts a new coverage formula, quote, exceptional conditions must exist to justify the extraordinary departure from the traditional course of relations between the states and the federal government. Thankfully, America of 2021 is not America of 1965. As I said, despite what Democrats want everyone to believe, these exceptional conditions do not exist. There is no recent record of rampant voter suppression or discrimination. In fact, minority participation in today is exceptionally better than it was in 1965. And during the 2020 voter turnout was higher across all racial groups. In fact, from the Shelby County decision, Chief Justice Roberts said, black voter registration before the VRA in Mississippi was 6.4%. Today, or actually in 2004, I'm sure it's higher today, 2004, 76.1%, higher than among white voters in the state of Mississippi. That's what you call progress. That's a good thing. We should celebrate that. Regardless of the data and the Supreme Court precedent, the Democrats still insist that a pre-clearance regime is necessary. The latest version of H.R. 4 is a federal takeover contrary to the Constitution's clear intention. H.R. 4 includes a new coverage formula that would allow federal court to retain jurisdiction over state or political subdivision for 10 years if as few as 3 voting rights violations had occurred over the last 25. But H.R. 4 also takes a novel approach to determining and defining what's a violation, where a state or political subdivision can rack up voting rights violations without any final court judgment of discrimination. Someone just brings a claim. There might be some kind of settlement because the state or the local jury that doesn't want to spend taxpayer dollars, whatever, and go through a court decision, and that's going to be tallied up as a violation. Instead of settlement agreements and consent decrees, in addition to court orders and objections by the Attorney General, will suffice to trigger a violation designation. Let's be honest, the real aim of this provision is to utilize the pre-clearance process to allow the Democrats' political allies at the Department of Justice.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has offered the 9 House moderates preventing the House from voting on the budget resolution a deal to move forward. This deal would include a deeming motion, which means the budget resolution would be deemed passed when the rule is passed. The deal also includes assurances that the bipartisan infrastructure deal will get a vote in the House by October 1st of this year. Nancy Pelosi implored her members to support the budget resolution during a closed-door caucus meeting Monday evening. According to a source in the room, Nancy Pelosi told the Democrats to focus on the goals of what they want to see passed, not the process of getting there. Pelosi went on to warn the group that passing both the reconciliation package and the infrastructure package is very vital to the Democrats keeping their campaign promises. So what are your thoughts on this, everyone? Please leave them in the comments section below. Nancy Pelosi has indicated for months that the House won't take up the bipartisan bill until the Senate passes the larger and more sweeping package through the budget reconciliation. She's feeling pressure from her left flank too. House progressives say they won't support the bipartisan plan on its own without the reconciliation measure. These disagreements present an early test of whether Democrats will be able to overcome their internal divisions with a narrow majority in both chambers of Congress and successfully move President Biden's agenda forward. Democratic leadership has urged unity and stressed the high stakes of the moment as they try to bring along both ideological wings of the party without losing critical votes from either end of the spectrum. The party's factions will now be on the spot over how far they are willing to go in an attempt to meet their demands. During the month of July, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the total number of unemployed workers at 8.7 million, representing an unemployment rate of about 5.4%. This figure is the lowest seen during this crisis. The news was also positive for the number of people experiencing long-term unemployment. After months of either no change or increases, the BLS recorded that the number of long-term unemployed decreased by 560,000 in July to 3.4 million. The number of long-term unemployed accounted for nearly 40% of the total unemployed in July. Late this week, officials from President Biden's administration urged states experiencing a surge to consider extending the unemployment benefits. However, there is one major catch. The extensions would not include the $300 federal topper sent in addition to state benefits, which forms part of the Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program. So everyone, do you think that unemployment benefits should be extended? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here tonight. I really hope you found some of this information helpful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.